All right, guys, welcome to On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Tonight we have Dan Hall here with me, and I also have Rusty Reed, West Virginia Bowhunters Association president. How you doing, Rusty?
Doing good this evening. Doing great. How are you guys?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. So we just wanted to bring you on. We first met there at your fall rendezvous in Ripley, and just wanted to bring you on so you could tell everybody a little bit about what West Virginia Bowhunters Association does.
Sure thing. West Virginia Bowhunter Association. We've certainly been around for a long time. They started back in 1980. I believe I joined in 1987, so I've been around pretty much since the beginning. But I was just a member back in the day, and of course now I worked my way up to president. But just basically a group of bow hunters back in 1980. John Negley Jr. was the first president. And bow hunting was big back then. I can remember I was in high school, and you didn't have the internet, you didn't have cell phones, you had to see somebody, you had to go over their house, and you go over people's houses and shoot bows with your buddies, and just a different world than what we have today, where it's all online and Facebook, and you can join a group just by clicking a button. Back then, you actually interacted, and that's how the West Virginia Bowhunter started. Archery was huge in the 70s and 80s, and it started in 1980, and it really was and is a big thing. But back then it was certainly more interactive. People got out and saw each other a lot more. So, and that's what we're trying to keep that tradition alive. That's why the fall rendezvous, when I saw you guys, we had an archery competition. Something new we've started 3 years ago, and it's really taken off. It's, bringing people together. It's kind of hard to be an archery competition from your couch, so it's something we're doing to try to get people involved and being around each other and fellowship. And that's something that's kind of lacking in our society today.
Yeah. And you all give really good prizes for that thing. I know that first place was like $750, was it not?
Yes. The total prize money was $5,000 for the weekend in the different categories. And it's probably one of the biggest in-state competitions there is. There's other groups that have competitions. Some of them you win a belt buckle, I hear, and stuff like that. But ours is we put cold hard cash. And it's really catching on. It's really a nice thing.
Has the internet age helped you to gain members?
In a way, it makes it easier because they can just do a couple clicks and they can join on our website, which I'll throw the plug out there. It's westvirginiabowhunters.org. West Virginia spelled out. You can join us. It's $20 a year for a family membership. And the reason we do family memberships is because, we had a father and a son that were members and maybe a daughter, and we were sending 3 of our magazines to the same address, stuff like that. So we just decided to make everybody that lives in the same household, it's a household membership. So it's a $20 a year for a family membership, and it works out really well. So you can just click a button, join, and remember. And then we get a quarterly magazine and a lot of other benefits being a member of the Bowhunters. We do quite a bit of events for our members. A lot of bow shoots throughout the year. We do fundraisers. We have a big banquet in March. So we do a lot of things for your $20. You really get quite a bit.
Yeah. So that banquet that you're talking about, that's going to be coming up this year, 2023, March 17th and through the 19th, correct?
That's correct. It's always lately in the last 10 years or so, it's been in Flatwoods there at the Days Inn Conference Center. This year, Ralph and Vicky Sorrello, they got a TV show on outdoor channel called The Choice. Been around for 20-some years in the outdoor television world, and they're our guest speakers. So it's we bring in big names like that, people that are interesting, people that can relate to us bow hunters, and it's a really nice evening. It is a fundraiser. It is our biggest fundraiser of the year for the bow hunters. We do all kinds of games and raffles and auctions and things like that, but it's a good time. It's a dinner, it's entertainment, and certainly a lot of people go home with a lot of nice prizes as well.
Yeah. We was talking to Jeremy Jarrett there the other night, and we was talking about the Days Inn and how they used to have that awesome buffet that they have up there. And that episode, or that part of the podcast got deleted out, or it didn't get uploaded, or something happened there to where he lost service and we lost that piece. But we were talking about that state record bear that they have in the lobby.
Yeah, it's a great facility for us, and we're really we used to be at Cedar Lakes up in Jackson County. It was a 4-H camp, I guess. It was okay, but much better home for us for what we do. We have a outdoor range that we shoot a 3D 28 target 3D course there. We use the Mid-State Archers. They're only about a mile away. They have a big indoor range facility that we can actually have a competition on Friday evening. We'll be on the 17th this year. So we have a real good partnership between the West Virginia Bowhunter Association and the Mid-State Archers. And it's such a great venue up there in the middle of the state geographically. Plus, there's things for let's say, like my wife, people don't bow hunt necessarily. There's a lot of things around with outlet stores and shopping and things that she can do, perhaps while she's not actively at the Bowhunter event.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So I think that we'll be joining you guys up there this year for that banquet. We'll bring our booth set up there, and we'll just have everybody talk about hunting and calls and all that good stuff. So, well, we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back with Rusty Reed, president of the West Virginia Bowhunters Association. This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Top Down Construction, a local construction company located in Hurricane, West Virginia. A veteran-owned and operated construction company ready to tackle any project. With over 25 years of experience in the industry, they offer a wealth of knowledge from design to completion. Contact them today at 304-415-2203 and let them make your dream a reality. You can also check them out on their Facebook page or call them today at 304-415-2203. All right, guys, we're back on the limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. We have Rusty Reed here, president of the West Virginia Bowhunters Association. Rusty, during the break there, we were talking about some things, and behind the scenes of the West Virginia Bowhunter Association, there's a lot of legality and different things that go on within the hunting regulations, and just legislation that tries to take some rights away from the hunters themselves. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure can. That's probably the toughest part of my job and my board of directors. We certainly set the direction for the West Virginia Bowhunters. We do a lot of fun things like our archery competition and fun shoots throughout the year and our seminars. But the hardest part is the behind the scenes, the things that goes on in the wildlife politics, if you will. We attend all the game commission meetings. The game commission is a group of 7 people set up to set season dates and limits. And what's good about the game commission is that they take input from sportsmen's groups like ours, individuals, landowners. Everybody has a stake in wildlife. So they listen to the DNR and listen to the wildlife section. So they get input from a lot of different areas, and then they make decisions. So that's the way the system's supposed to work. There's also the big elephant in the room, which seems to be the West Virginia legislature. Sometimes they do good things, but they certainly have a big thumb they can put on the scale, make bad decisions, if you will, or introduce legislation based on 4 or 5 constituents that came into some senator's office, and then they introduce a bill. And it's maybe terrible for wildlife, maybe terrible for the hunters in general. And those are the kind of things. We go to interim committee meetings. We go to full floor votes. We actually get involved with a lot of these things. And a majority of the time, a bad bill like that, we can kill it. But examples are ATVs, UTVs on wildlife management areas. Wildlife management areas were paid for by sportsmen's dollars. It's set up 30-some years ago when they come up with the program to allow the interest to be spent to buy land for wildlife. And when you have ATVs and UTVs going into wildlife management areas, tearing up places and erosion problems, where's the money to fix these problems? Plus, we're trying to make a tranquil area for wildlife to live year round. Yeah, we hunt them pretty good in the fall, perhaps, but they got a nice place, year round that they can mostly be undisturbed other than foot traffic. And when you introduce ATVs and UTVs, it changes everything, and they don't belong in those wildlife areas. So we fight against those kind of things. So that's the kind of battles we do.
Yeah.
Wildlife policy is really people policy.
Yep. No, I agree with you. Go ahead, Dan.
Sorry. No, that's a hard battle because you see it all the time. People have no respect for it. I see it in the groups on Facebook. People's trying to say, man, you need to keep out of here with your 4-wheelers. They're saying, quit driving your 4-wheelers to bait in public lands, and people argue, well, I should be allowed to. It's public. I have the right. But it hurts everybody in the field of hunting. It's not a good deal.
yeah, with the Hatfield McCoy Trail system, we do have an outlet for people like that, and if they want to get together and make a Hatfield McCoy Trail system in the Morgantown area, and then go do that. The wildlife management areas were set aside for wildlife. They were already here first. They were there, bought with
Yeah.
sportsman's dollars, and
Yep.
you really can't come in after the fact and claim it as yours.
Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, that's good. It's a good point. So, you did. We talked there at the West Virginia fall rendezvous that you had for the Bowhunters Association. We got into talking hunting a little bit. We got West Virginia archery season coming up this weekend. The opening day is Saturday. Are you going to be out in the woods?
Well, actually, I will be some, certainly. It is the always the Saturday first, closest to the October 1st is when the season, or within a week, and that's why it is coming a little bit earlier this year. So it is nice. The weather's been really warm, although it is supposed to cool off some. So I'm like many people. We got our cameras out there. We're starting to see a few good deer. The big giants aren't showing up yet, but yeah, I'll certainly be out there along with thousands of other bow hunters in West Virginia. This is what we live for. We hunt all year. We practice and think about this day and the days here.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I tell you, when the temperatures start dropping like that, them deer, they seem to start moving a lot more, and it's becoming about that time. The temperatures, the past couple of days here has been kind of hot though. I mean, it was like 88, 89 degrees yesterday. I come out of work and went and got my truck, and I was like, good Lord, I feel like I'm at the beach.
Yeah, definitely a lot of truth to that. It's been really warm. I think it makes people hunt a lot in the early mornings, and in the evenings, middle of the day, not so much. So it does allow you to go mow your grass or do a few things in the middle of the day. But hey, we're starting down that. It is our time of year, and it's finally here, and it is something we've been looking forward to for a long time.
Yeah, and I've talked to a bunch of people that some older guys actually that tell me that they don't get up and hunt and in the woods before daylight anymore and get in their stand. They're in there at 11, 12 o'clock in the middle of the day, and that's when they're killing their biggest bucks.
Yeah.
Well, certainly during the rut, there's some truth to that. Certainly during the rut in November, but I think October, uh, early season like this, you just got to hunt food patterns. I have been in the woods quite a bit. The acorns in our area, I'm here in Roane County, actually are hitting pretty heavy. So the white oak's pretty good, and the red oaks are pretty even more. So there is going to be a decent amount of food in the woods, so that may make deer a little less visible for those that hunt around fields and things. I know for those that set over corn piles, they won't be as effective. I mean, I know deer like corn, but they sure like acorns better. So there'll be a little break, a break right there
for sure.
action if you're sitting on a corn pile, not produce like they think.
Yeah, so there's a good mass in your area, so they're not going to have to move very far. So you're right, they're not going to be as visible.
Yeah, so early season might be a little tough. October might be sometimes middle of October. They call it the October lull. It is kind of a calm before the storm, which we all live for the first couple of weeks of November. But there will be. That's one thing I will say about social media. There will be some big deer start hitting the ground on Saturday, and everybody will know. You know what, with Facebook and Instagram and social media, you'll start to see some big deer on the ground, so, which keeps you enthused. Honestly, it's a good thing. It keeps you enthused that they're out there, and it keeps you inspired to keep going hunting. So seeing other people's success makes you want to have success as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Now you all have have a Facebook page there on for the West Virginia Bowhunter Association too, right?
Yep, sure do. In fact, I made a post today about we do a partnership with the West Virginia DNR and the wildlife section. It's called the Bowhunter Survey, and we help sponsor that. And it's always been a paper form. It's a legal piece of paper, and it asks, if you're bow hunting and you put down what county where you're hunting, and would you hunt in private land or public land? Did you hunt 3 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the afternoon? So, and then ask what you saw, so maybe not just deer. Did you see any possums? Did you see any turkeys, foxes, or coyotes? So it asks a lot of questions, and they compile this data, and it helps the wildlife section greatly because you got all these observers out in the woods, most of them in a tree stand being quiet and seeing a lot of things. How many deer did you see? How many dogs did you see chasing the deer, perhaps? So this questionnaire used to be a paper one, you had to mail it in, but for this finally, it's now online. So the DNR has a great thing. You can do it online. You can set up an app on your phone and enter this data while you're actually in your tree stand. So it's a really good thing. I think we'll get better response now, and it gives knowledge is power, and given the DNR this data, they make a lot of decisions based on, general trends of what wildlife's being seen. So it's a good tool for them. That's why we help sponsor it, and it's been a good partnership. We've done this for many years at DNR, and we're going to the next level now, having this thing being online. So you can just download the form and fill it out as you go, as you hunt.
Man, that's pretty good. That's like a census for the wildlife. so you know what's out there, what you're seeing, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, I think it helps them too if there's a problem in an area. If you're starting to see a lot of coyotes, if you're seeing a whole bunch in Clay County, then that's something they need to know. People are seeing a lot of bears or a lot of different types of wildlife. So it's important. It's a good survey.
Yeah, I agree. That's awesome. I remember the paper one back in the day, but I thought it kind of phased itself out. I didn't know it, and then it come back online.
Yeah, it wasn't readily available. You had to call and ask for it, or if you filled out a survey, they would automatically mail you one the next year. But if you missed a year, you didn't get one. So this is going to really make it more accessible, and it's a little bit overdue. But I give them credit; they're busy, and that they are jumping on this technology, and it's going to be a good thing. I think the survey will probably have more responses this year than they've probably ever had, at least potentially.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll be right back with Rusty Reed with the West Virginia Bowhunters Association. This segment of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by AMG Network Hosting, LLC, a national independent agent for most major telecommunication service providers. If your business is in need of internet, phones, credit card processing, let AMG Hosting help you compare options. They work with over 100 national carriers, and they can help you choose the best option for your needs. Our independence means we are loyal to our customers, not a brand or a company. Call us today at 304-608-3653 or visit us at amgnhconsulting.com. amgnhconsulting.com. Phone number again is 304-608-3653. AMG Network Hosting, LLC. All right, guys, we're back here on the limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. We have Rusty Reed, president of the West Virginia Bowhunters Association. We just talking, man, we were talking about all kinds of stuff during the break. We've got some really good stuff coming up, but we want to do our scripture of the day now, and I think Dan has that ready to go.
I do. Today, I'd like to do the scripture on Psalms 82, 3 through 4. And it says, defend the weak and the fatherless. Uphold the cause of the poor and the oppressed. Rescue the weak and the needy. Deliver them from the hand of the wicked. That's something we can do as people. We can help those in need. We can show them the way. That's pretty deep meanings to that. In all aspects. He was, as a retired police officer here, he's lived that. He's helped those in need.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Rusty, we can go into talking a little bit about your time with West Virginia State Police and how you assisted the West Virginia Natural Resource Police in their forensic analysis with weapons and things like that.
Oh, absolutely. That was, I retired in 2012, but I was a forensic scientist for state police. I retired a lieutenant, but I was a forensic firearm examiner. So I was a firearms expert in a lot of different aspects. Of course, I did a lot of homicides and other type shootings, but we also helped the Natural Resource Police. And one thing you can do as a forensic firearm examiner is match bullets and cartridge cases back to suspected firearms to say they were bullets fired from a certain barrel or cartridge cases fired in a certain action. And often they would find a deer had been poached and a shell casing laying by the road, develop a suspect and bring a firearm in, and we could forensically match back that fired cartridge case laying beside the road back to the suspect's rifle. And of course that puts him at the scene with one of his cartridge cases being fired there. Yeah. So I often worked with the DNR in those kind of cases. We had some forensic chemistry we'd actually do. We'd get a deer hide that's supposed to be shot with a bow, especially in the 4 in the counties. And you could test around that hole where the arrow supposedly went in, and you could find lead. We'd find lead going in through the hide. So we'd forensically develop lead as a pass through the meat and through the hide itself. So that was actually a pretty good evidence that the deer was actually shot with a gun instead of an arrow shoved in the hole. So we did a lot of different types of cases with the DNR. We worked closely with them, and even when I was in the profession, I'm always amazed at how fast forensic technology just keeps advancing. There are so many great people out there developing techniques within the field. We work with our peers, and it's just moving forward. I mean, it's amazing what can be done forensically today.
Yeah,
Right.
man, that's some awesome stuff right there. I always loved watching different things like that, and I think it's interesting. A lot of people don't think about, your service as a state trooper behind the scenes like that in the lab, doing the forensics and the analysis on those things. I mean, that's a service to us as hunters, and the public as well. Just as long as I mean, it's just like you being out there on the beat in on the interstate or wherever you call it. I mean, so we thank you, Rusty, for your service with the West Virginia State Police.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that. Well, you're welcome. The forensic lab now has took a turn. I mean, when I started back in the '80s, it was all troopers, and now it's all civilians in our forensic laboratory, and that's fine. It's in a little different direction. People that can really just focus on forensics and not have the other side where they have to do the law enforcement side. It does lets them focus on what they're doing on a daily basis. I was kind of pulled a lot of different directions in my career, so. But
Yeah,
honestly, I wouldn't trade the career for anything, and. My best friends are troopers that I knew back in the day. But the other set, honestly, is through the West Virginia Bowhunter Association. The bow hunters I know are some of the best people around. They truly are my friends.
yeah, yep. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it is.
Well, one of the other things that we wanted to do, we're probably going to about wrap things up here in a little bit. So one of the things that we do on every podcast is we do a salute to service. And today our salute to service is going to be in honor of Major Brian Lundell, currently serving in the United States Army. He has served 23 years, and he is currently still active. He's done many tours around the world. So, Brian Lundell, thank you for your service to our great country.
Yes, thank you, sir.
All right, Rusty. Well, we thank you for being on this evening, and I think we've picked your brain enough there on the West Virginia Bowhunter Association, archery season, West Virginia State Police, about everything. So we really appreciate you coming on, and anything that you would like to say before we go, any websites that you'd like to put out there, feel free to do so.
Well, certainly the West Virginia Bowhunters.org is a great resource, and the record book's on there. That's one thing you might think about, the West Virginia record book of typical deer, non-typical deer, bears. Those things are on that website. The archery kills are, and how to contact us. Events are on there. Press releases are on there. So there's a lot of little things you can look at the website. You can dive into it. And lastly, I will say, with the bow season coming up, you'll hear of people falling and things like that. I was bad in the early days of just tying a rope around my waist and around the tree, or not even using any type of safety device. But I will say this: there's a thing called a lifeline now, and I'm going to tell people to use them. You're attached to the tree from the time you leave the ground till you get back down again. I can't say enough about safety, because you're out here to have fun. You're trying to do something to relax and enjoy nature. And I'm telling you, life-changing injuries do happen every year in West Virginia, and certainly many across the country, due to tree stand accidents and firearm accidents and or bow accidents. And just safety. And I'm not like preaching it, but I am, because it's so important. It just take the time to take that extra step for safety, and then you'll have a good season.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we definitely want all our hunters coming back to their wives and their kids after enjoying that sport, So, Rusty, well, we thank you and we appreciate you coming on. Maybe we can have you on again next year, and we'll talk more about the West Virginia Bowhunter Association.
Absolutely.
Yep,
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you, sir. You all have a good evening, everybody. Thank you for listening to On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls. Be sure to check us out on Spotify and Apple Podcast and everywhere that you get your podcast. We're on about 15 different networks, so go on there. And this episode will be airing in a couple of days. Tomorrow, we have part 2 of Laney Smith from she was actually at the West Virginia Bowhunter Association and won first place, I believe, in the women's division there. So she done really good there. So we'll have part 2 coming up tomorrow of her segment that we had. And everybody have a good evening. Thanks for listening. This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Top Down Construction, a local construction company located in Hurricane, West Virginia. A veteran-owned and operated construction company ready to tackle any project. With over 25 years of experience in the industry, they offer a wealth of knowledge from design to completion. Contact them today at 304-415-2203 and let them make your dream a reality. You can also check them out on their Facebook page or call them today at 304-415-2203.